Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a feeling you probably know all too well. So let's just start by taking a deep breath and letting your shoulders drop. For This Explainer, we're intentionally stepping away from the rush. We're keeping things incredibly quiet and still, just giving you some space to actually think without any overwhelming noise. I want you to imagine a totally ordinary morning.
You wake up. The room is quiet, but before your feet even touch the floor, you're already reaching for your phone. And almost instantly, you're consuming images of someone else's perfect life, right? A coworker's promotion, a stranger's absolutely spotless kitchen, somebody's 3-year-old who is somehow already reading. And somewhere between those flawless, glowing images and your actual reality, the unmade bed, the slightly messy room, yesterday's unfinished work, a certain feeling is born.
It's a pretty vague feeling, isn't it? It doesn't scream at you, and it doesn't even really have a specific name. It just kind of quietly tags along with you all day. You feel it while you're waiting for your coffee, sitting in a meeting, or chatting with your mom on the phone. It's this invisible pressure, this subtle sense that you're somehow falling short, like something important just passed you by while you were simply trying to live your life. Nobody else seems to notice it, but you definitely do.
Section 1. Peeling back the layers. Where does the pressure begin?
Because nobody actually handed you a rule book for your life, yet somehow you're strictly following one. This pressure accumulates over a lifetime, almost like dust settling in a quiet room. It starts way back in childhood. Nobody explicitly said, "Be successful or we won't love you," but we all learned to read our parents' looks. That silent disappointment over a slightly lower grade, or those subtle comparisons to the neighbor's kids. Then we hit our school years, an environment built entirely on ratings and comparisons, where your value literally equals your output. And finally, adulthood cements the whole thing with unspoken societal milestones. Everyone just knows that by age 30, a normal person should have a solid career path, a nice place to live, and a serious relationship.
I want you to take a moment and deeply reflect on this. How many of your decisions last year were truly yours, and how many were made looking over your shoulder at someone else? Seriously, think about the choices you've made recently. Did you choose that job, that relationship, or even just your weekend plans for yourself? Or were you kind of performing for this imaginary judgmental audience? An audience made up of parents, colleagues, or societal ghosts that don't actually exist, but you're playing a role for them anyway.
Section 2. The modern amplifier. The illusion of social media.
Now, social media isn't inherently evil, but it has permanently changed the rules of how we measure our own lives. Our brains are incredible, but man, they aren't always fair. Back in the day, you'd compare yourself to maybe a few dozen people in your town. Today, you are comparing yourself to thousands. And the worst part is, you aren't comparing your reality to their reality. You're making a brutal, totally unfair comparison between your messy internal reality, your anxieties, your doubts, your regular Monday morning, and someone else's highly curated, heavily filtered 24/7 highlight reel. People don't post photos of their anxious, sleepless nights. They only post the finish lines.
So, the takeaway here is absolutely crucial. If you feel inadequate while scrolling, that is not a sign of weakness. It's not just classic jealousy. It is the absolute, inevitable result of existing in an environment where the baseline has been impossibly, artificially inflated. You are constantly consuming an impossible standard and slowly, quietly feeling like you just aren't enough.
Section 3. The culture of productivity. Measuring human value.
This is the broader framework that takes all those comparisons and turns them into deep existential exhaustion. It's the air we breathe, the culture of productivity. Is this deeply ingrained belief that your literal value as a human being is measured entirely by what you achieve, how much you earn, and your constant growth. In this culture, rest isn't a right. Rest is just a conditional reward that you have to earn through hard work. You're constantly forced to justify your own existence through your results. And because of that culture, we develop this intrusive, exhausting internal voice. It whispers things like, "Did you try hard enough today? Did you make enough progress? Are you standing still?" It always seems to strike on Sunday nights when you're prepping for the week, or on your birthday when society reminds you exactly how old you are. But here's the most important question. Is that voice actually yours? Or have you just heard the outside world shouting it for so long that you've mistaken it for your own?
Section 4. The price of someone else's script. Living safely, but emptying out.
What is the actual psychological cost of successfully living someone else's script? Well, it's a strange, quiet paradox.
You might reach a point where everything is technically right, according to the world. You have a stable job, the relationship, the apartment, but instead of feeling complete, it feels profoundly empty. It's not a midlife crisis, it's the sudden, startling realization that while everything is correct, it isn't yours. You only moved in this direction because everyone else was doing it, and doing anything else just felt way too terrifying.
It's a slow, systemic destruction of your connection to yourself. It always starts innocently enough, just trying to meet expectations, to keep the peace. But to do that, you gradually have to start ignoring your own deep desires. Do this for years, and you genuinely forget what you actually want. If someone asked you right now what you truly desire, you might honestly not know. We get so practiced at asking, what is expected of me, that the muscle we use to ask, what do I want, completely atrophies. It's like a slow leak of air from your life.
And why do we stay trapped in this? It's not a lack of willpower. It's tied to one of our most powerful irrational fears, the fear of disappointing the people we love. It's that deep human desire to be accepted, to be part of the group, and to not disrupt the quiet peace of everyone around us. We choose not to betray their expectations, even if it means betraying ourselves.
Section 5. Returning to yourself. Finding the quiet voice.
So how do we find our way back? That deep feeling of emptiness isn't a life sentence, and it definitely isn't the norm. It's an urgent, quiet signal from within, just asking you to wake up. I'm not going to give you some high-energy 10-step action plan here. Reconnecting with yourself is not a productivity hack. It's a slow, gradual process, and it begins simply by stopping, by taking a pause. Consider these next few questions. Don't rush to answer them. Just let them hang in the air, and let them initiate a slow, honest internal conversation.
Take a slow breath. Whose life are you living right now?
Think about your days, your routines. Which of those decisions truly belong to you, and which belong to the silent expectations of others? Just notice the answers that quietly bubble up.
When was the last time you allowed yourself to want something, just because you wanted it, without having to justify it as the right or productive thing to do? Again, you don't need immediate answers for these. They are simply the beginning of a conversation you need to have with yourself, in the quiet, without rushing.
I'll leave you with this final thought to take with you today. Imagine, just for a second, that every external expectation vanished. The parental pressure, the societal timelines, the curated social media feeds, all completely gone. What would be left if all expectations disappeared and only you remained? Because beneath all that noise, beneath the need to please and the drive to produce, your true voice is still there. It might be very quiet right now, but it is real, and it's just waiting for you to stop, listen, and finally hear it.